This is Brownie's Podcast!
Hey, welcome, degenerates. We've got a very special episode of Brownie's Podcast today. Subscribe, tell your mates and all that stuff. But we're going to go straight to Seattle where JB is. John, introduce what the f*** you were doing and who you were with.
It's been a crazy few days. I'm over here for the first ever EB Summit. And as you know, some of the listeners know that EB and our old Racky Show listeners, EB is close to my heart. Epidermolysis bullosa, EB for short. It's essentially where kids are born without the glue in their skin. It's a horrific disease. Brown Dog knows a bit about it through his connection with his sister Pip. And I ran the New York Marathon where my ass blew out 4 years ago, just as a little bit of a sacrifice.
It did.
And so it's just been an amazing thing. So we had EB Summit. Last night we had the EB dinner where we're starting to raise money for charity. And tonight we've got the Eddie Vedder concert. And Tuesday night we double up again. And Eddie Vedder, of course, is the co-chairman along with his wife Jill. So it's been a fantastic few days. And I've got a little special guest. Brown Dog, you go first before I have the pleasure to introduce him.
Well, I didn't know about this trip to Seattle, and the first time it came across my desk was about a month ago when Dino quite nonchalantly said to me, "Hey, Brown Dog, are you coming over to Seattle with me and JB?" Mm-hmm. And I went, "Mate, it's the first I've heard of it." And since then, Dino's sitting right across from me. So you got rissoled from that trip, Dino. What happened?
I got absolutely dogged. I don't think John even tried, to be honest. Every time I talk to him, he'd do that face where he winces and goes, "Oh, mate, yeah, I don't know." But anyway, John, introduce the man next to you.
I am introducing. So last night we went to the dinner and it was amazing. Raised a lot of money. They raised up close to $5 million so far. Just in the it's only been going for 24 hours. But I've emceed EB events previously. But this man took it to a new level last night. He's one of Eddie's best mates. He's a former Major League Baseballer. He's a 3-time All-Star. Played for 5 different MLB teams. He's a commentator over here, and just this year, the Yankees were going so shit that they called him in the last few weeks to be the batting coach. Sean Casey, welcome to Brownie's Podcast.
Oh, man. Thanks, Brownie, man. This is an absolute pleasure to be on here, brother. And a pleasure to be with you guys. You seem just like my buddies at home.
Sean, let's get straight into it. What's the wildest shit you've seen at a baseball game?
Well, man, there's a lot of wild things going on at baseball games. The craziest things you'll see are some of the bench clears. You know, those are a lot of fun at times. But I think the biggest thing about baseball is probably your walk-off wins. You know, anytime you see something, you can bring the 50 to 60,000 people to a screaming absolute bunch of nutcases, which I'm sure you guys have probably been in a few of those games when you can bring people to their feet. I think those are the craziest times.
Yeah, this man's name, he's got the coolest nickname in baseball.
What do we got?
This man's name was the Mayor.
Oh, yeah.
The Mayor.
Now, can you please explain, Sean Casey, how you got the nickname the Mayor?
Well, I had a buddy of mine when I was in college. We played in a league up in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, right outside Boston. And I'm like you, bro. I'm talking to everybody. Hey, how's it going? You know, and my manager at the time, this guy named Bill Mosiello, he was like, he was real serious, and I don't think he liked the fact that I was talking to everybody. Like, if you came to I was a first baseman, so when you come to first base, on a walk or a hit, I'd be like, "What's going on, mate? How you doing?" And here we go, And so he was like, "Man, it seems like you're lobbying for votes everywhere you go. You're like the mayor. You're like the mayor." And it stuck. And it stuck when I was 19. So all in my big league career, whenever I'd watch, you're watching your highlights, your good games, people are like, "Oh, there's the mayor with a double in the gap or a home run."
Sean, it's simply because you have excellent communication skills. That's why you're the mayor.
Exactly. That's all. Hey, you guys are mayors. We're all mayors. At some point in our lives, we're all mayors to somebody. You know what I mean?
Hey, tell me about Derek Jeter. Do you know Derek Jeter? Tell me about Derek Jeter.
Yeah. Oh man, Jeet's a great guy. I just saw him recently. They're the 1998 Yankees were one of the best teams ever in Major League Baseball history. And when I was coaching the Yankees a couple months ago, they honored them at the field. So Jeter came back, and this guy was just a stand-up guy, man, class act. Just like Browny right here. You know what I mean? Guy's a legend in the States here, but a legend internationally, really, to tell you the truth.
Sean, there's nothing better than sporting rivalries. We've got them here in the AFL. There's Carlton, Collingwood, and Essendon, Hawthorn. But one of the greatest rivalries, I think, in modern sport was the Yankees and the Red Sox. Does that hatred still exist?
Oh, you know what? It does. It always will. And I was fortunate enough to see it from both sides. I played for my last year in the big leagues. I played with the Red Sox, and then that's when the rivalry was big. Was Big Papi and Manny Ramirez and some great players for the Red Sox. And then the Yankees obviously had Jeter and A-Rod and all those guys too. So that was an incredible rivalry. And then seeing it this year too. When I was with the Yankees, we went to Boston, Fenway Park, and played them there. It's an incredible rivalry, and if you love sports, at any point, even if you're not a huge baseball fan, you always got to check that rivalry out.
Hey, Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, but The Sandlot is the greatest film ever made.
I watched it the other night.
Oh, God.
You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me.
Oh, dear God. So
Hey, what do you do?
Yeah,
It's
go,
okay,
John.
isn't it?
Yeah, well, tell us about the bender you two went on last night. I want specifics. I want to know.
Well, last
who was
night we had it was unbelievable. I met as I said, the two greatest nicknames in the world. The Mayor, Sean, who we've spoken about that, and the Roastmaster General. So somehow I walk into Jeff Ross.
Wait,
so
Browny,
Jeff Ross,
I don't think you appreciate. I know who Jeff Ross is, but did you know who Jeff Ross was before you just go and randomly hang out with him? Sean, legit,
I got talking to this guy in the lobby, and I walk in, and hi, I'm Jeff, and his sister Robin was there, and anyway, I walked away, and Michael, the boss of EB, head of the organisation, walk away. I said, "Oh, is that a big donor in town? Is it?" And he goes, "No, man, that's Jeff Ross. That's the comedian. He's doing the entertainment tonight."
Do you know who Jeff Ross is?
I don't.
He's the Roastmaster General. So any roast that they've ever done in the history of television the last 2 decades, he is the guy.
Give us an Australian equivalent, like a Lawrence Mooney or a Jim Owen or a Pangy.
He's like a Don Rickles.
Right, okay.
So Don Rickles was the legend, wasn't he? And then he sort of liked Don Rickles, isn't he, Sean?
Yes, yeah.
So I walk into a room last night. I walk in, go up to Ed, invited us up there for a couple of drinks. And so I walk into the room. There's Eddie Vedder, Jeff Ross, and the Mayor, Sean Casey. I'm going, fuck, I'm looking around going, who else is going to turn up?
It was funny. We were leaving last night. Ed took a picture with Brownie and I. He's like, "Hey, Rio, let's get a quick picture." Ed's got the selfie going. He takes a picture. He was so little in the picture. He's got his eyes in his hat. We're like, "Where are you, bro?" He's like, "Right here."
Eddie Vedder looked like Dickie Nee. So it was so much fun. And then karaoke started. They got the guitar out, and it was going really well. So Eddie was playing some of the new songs that Pearl Jam been working on behind the scenes that no one's heard of. And then they start doing karaoke until Jeff got up and did an Elvis song and completely cooked the room. He's completely tone deaf. And Eddie was like, "Get out."
So you're telling me that Eddie Vedder got up and did some karaoke with you, John?
I didn't get to do karaoke. I got to watch. I got to watch the great man.
That's very cowardly from you. You're very proud of your Sweet Caroline rendition, and all of a sudden you go limp. Very disappointing. Very disappointing.
I did go. I was trying to act all responsible because I knew Eddie's got a show tonight, doesn't he, Sean? Which we're about to go to. We're all excited about. And me and Sean will be up there in the front row going berserk. But he said to me, he goes, "Oh, man." It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. He goes, "Oh, Brownie, I gotta play a gig tomorrow." I might tell you. He goes, "Kid, get me another Corona."
I have one quick story with Ed. When we were a couple years ago at spring training for Major League Baseball in Arizona, Ed did a solo show. It was called the Innings Festival. It was a big festival, and he was the headliner. And he was like, "Hey, Case," he's like, "get all the baseball guys together, like Joe Madden, who was a manager, Cole Hamels was a pitcher, David Ross, who's the manager of the Cubs. We were all there." He's like, "Hey, get all these guys on stage. I want you to get up there and sing with me on the last song." And I'm like, "That's a terrible idea." I'm like, well, you don't need us, bums here. We have no idea what we're doing. We're baseball players, we're just spitting tobacco and what we're doing. So I thought he was kidding. So we're all backstage. We're on the back of the stage. There's 20,000 people, 25,000 people at this festival, and Ed's killing it, just dominating. And he comes up, and on the last song, his manager, Mark Smith, comes up to me. Smitty's like, hey, Case, he's like, that mic up there is for you and the boys. I go, are you serious? He goes, yeah. He goes, yeah. I go, what are we supposed to do? Like, Ed's on stage. Nobody's talked to anybody. He's like, just get up there on the mic. And I'm like, all right. So Ed starts, ripping, it's a big hard sun beating on the big people. You know that song, right? In a big hard. So I get up there on the mic. Well, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know if we're supposed to sing, wait for Ed. Ed's on the other side of the stage, right? So Ed's whipping this song. Place is going crazy. They're swaying back and forth. And I think David Ross, who was, like I said, the manager of the club, was like, Case, are you going to, sing? Can you help us out and sing? Nobody knows the lyrics. So I'm like, that must be cute for me to start singing. So I'm like, it's a big hard. So I start singing on this mic, and Ed's on guitar, and he looks over at me like really slowly, like, what are you doing, Case? I'm like, am I supposed to be singing? And he's like, not yet, not yet. So anyway, Ed comes over he's like, please, like this isn't karaoke in Browny's room freaking at midnight. We're actually in front of 25,000 people. So then he comes over to the mic, and then, he finishes off. Obviously, he saves all of us. But after the show, I was like, don't ever invite me on the mic again. Like, what are we doing here? He goes, yeah, I'm never going to do that again.
Hey, Sean, if that ever happens again, mate, what I lean back to, and it's happened to me a few times, if you're not sure the lyrics or you're not sure about your voice, I just do a classic Bradley Cooper impersonation in A Star Is Born. I just piss my pants on stage. Smart. And then people forget about how bad a singer you are.
That's a great trick, Browny.
Hey, now, JB, Eddie's right into his memorabilia as well, isn't he? Talk us through some of that stuff.
Well, I had the great fortune today, and Sean's obviously had been a big part of this, but of course, for people who don't know, Eddie Vedder, the legendary frontman of Pearl Jam, and they're based in Seattle, and they've got a headquarters here, which is pretty cool. It's like, obviously no one gets to go down there, but I got invited down, went for a private tour, and they've got all the band stuff. Like Eddie's got 20 guitars, Mike McCready's got about 30 guitars. They've got all their shit there, got officers, all their memorabilia that goes worldwide. We walk around past the rehearsal room, there's a batting cage with all the baseball. Mate, there's some unbelievable baseball memorabilia. I didn't realise you were such a collector, and you're a contributor to it, Sean. Yeah. So the staff and the band members, when they want to blow off some steam, they just go down and hit some balls in the batting cage.
Oh my gosh, it's an incredible place. It's where the 10 Club is. It's where it's where they record. It's their studio.
It's their studio.
So in 2008, I was playing with the Red Sox, and Theo Epstein was our general manager, who's really close with Ed. And he one night we were playing. He's like, hey Case, he's like, do you want to join me tonight after the game? Ed Vedder's getting ready to go on stage. Getting ready to go on tour, and he asked if you wanted to join me tonight, to come check out the studio and hang out, maybe have a couple Coronas. I go, I'm in. Are you kidding me? I'm in. So after the game, we went out to when they had just opened the warehouse, right? Yeah. And Ed and I were talking, and he was like, hey, can I show you something? I'm like, yeah. So I go over, and there's this like big league batting cage in Pearl Jam's like in their studios, right? It's incredible. It's like big league, and he's like, and I remember Theo was like, hey, why don't you take a couple cuts, And I went up, and I was like in good. That's when I was like at my prime too. I'm like, let's go, baby,
That's when you're the man.
Yeah. A couple Coronas in, I'm like, ready to rip, and I told Ed, I was like, dude, I want to take a couple. Can I take a couple hacks in your cage? He's like, he stops and he's like, you be the first big leaguer ever that's hitting the cage. I'm like, let's go. Yeah, dude. So Ed's funny when he's got that Polaroid. So he's out there. You mind if I take a picture of you? Meanwhile, I'm trying to play it cool. Like, all right, don't be a fan. Don't bring any cameras or anything like that. Ed's like, you mind if I take a couple Polaroids of you? Like, go ahead, mate. So next thing you know, we had an unbelievable time that night. We took some rips in the cages. Ed took some rips, but before they go in the studio, Ed gets like seriously 30 minutes of swings in before he sings the song.
Really? What?
Yeah, true story.
And mate, the memorabilia, like I walked past one of the, so you got like gloves. He had a World Series ring there from the Chicago Cubs. He's a big fan of the Cubs.
Jose Cardinals.
Jose Cardinals. He's got all these jerseys from everyone around the world. I'm not sure, you baseball tops, whatever you call them. He's got Michael Jordan's baseball glove.
No
signed.
shit.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and Ed's connection with the Chicago Bulls. I mean, everyone knows who Michael Jordan is, but back when they were winning, championships back in the '90s, Ed was really close with Dennis Rodman, and so Ed used to travel with the Chicago Bulls back then. So he became close with Jordan and all those guys. Yeah, incredible.
Well, I don't know what Ed did to Dennis Rodman because he became friends with Kim Jong-un after that. So,
Well, Dennis kind of does his own thing now. You know what I mean?
Hey, Sean, there's one thing that, I don't know a lot about baseball, but someone I always admired from afar was Darryl Strawberry. And one of the things that he came out with after he finished his illustrious career was he admitted to having a sex addiction and routinely had sex between innings in the Major League Baseball games. How the hell did he do that? And where would you do that? In the dugout? Like, what goes on?
I honestly, that's at another level because I played 12 years in the big leagues. I never saw that. I don't even know how that's possible, but maybe back in the 80s when you played for the Mets, it was possible.
Right.
Hey, Sean Casey, but real quick back to when Michael Jordan tried to move to baseball. As a baseballer, were you thinking, what? Were you angry? Were you annoyed by it?
No, I mean, listen. I think one thing that I think that you start to appreciate when you watch other athletes come to baseball. Like, you see LeBron James take batting practice. Michael Jordan tried to play baseball. You see a lot of actors and people come out to take batting practice, where batting practice before the game, you're throwing the ball at 40 miles an hour right down the middle where really anyone can hit it. And I think it's probably the toughest skill to do in professional sports is to hit a baseball. I mean, you have a round ball, round bat. You're trying to hit a ball that's coming in 95 to 98 miles an hour. And it is funny sometimes to watch the greatest athletes in the world, especially like basketball players, some football players. We'll get Browny with a bat here soon and see if he can take a rips because it's not easy to do.
You'll see me mark of the year.
Oh, man, our listeners, trust me, on our Instagram, you're about to see footage of Brownie showing Eddie Vedder his mark of the year. And, oh, my God.
And the Postmaster General and the Mayor. They all got it last time.
And the Mayor.
They were very, very warm and generous with their reaction, even if it was put on. Hey, just talking about memorabilia quickly. Yeah. Tell me about your neighbour's memorabilia piece.
Oh, my gosh. This is incredible. My neighbors are mates.
Your next door
Chris
neighbor.
And Josh Singer. They're from Brisbane.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I send a picture to them from literally my next door neighbors.
What?
I send a picture of them, of Brownie and I last night. And I'm like, hey, you guys recognize this guy? They go nuts. They go absolutely nuts. They're like, is that John O'Brown? I'm like, yeah, it is. And then they sent this picture, and they said, can you guys see my? Can you guys?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
This is up in his.
Big
This is
jumper.
up in his pool hall.
Who signed it?
In his room, and that's Michael Voss, right? Yeah. he's like, what do you say? He goes, good guy. I have a framed jersey from Vossi. I think him and Brownie won 3 premierships together in the early 2000s. Like, dude, you're a big deal in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, too, bro.
He's global. He's global.
His next door neighbour has got a signed Michael Voss jumper living in Pittsburgh.
How good is that?
How good was the great man? Well, just before, because I know we've got to catch the shuttle and get going to the concert, mate. But before you go, obviously a big weekend of racing. We're so lucky to have the mayor on, Sean Casey, legendary baseball player, commentator, batting coach for the Yankees. Although that wasn't that good this year. The Yankees weren't
Well,
much
it was
good.
fun. They brought me in because they weren't doing well. So like, can you come in? I was like, yeah, all right. Chance to wear the pinstripes, I'll do it. But
Yeah, absolutely. So, big racing weekend. We're in the horse racing carnival. Brown Dog's got a bit of a problem at the moment. He just hands out shit tips. So, we need a lift. Now, what did you tell? You fired up the Yankees baseballs a few weeks ago with a story about a buffalo.
Yeah.
Including Aaron Judge, the best hitter in baseball. Yeah. Brown Dog, I feel, needs a little bit of a pump up.
all right, Brown, are you ready for this one? So,
I'm ready.
here at the end, I went in, like, it went a few weeks ago. We were struggling in August with the Yankees, and we had lost 8 or 9 in a row, I think, and I got the guys together in the hitters meeting, and I told this story, which I told really last night because it just related to EB and what everyone's kind of going through. And I said, we were in Colorado playing the Colorado Rockies, and I said, out here in the plains of Colorado, I said the buffalo and the cattle share the plains, and I said when the storms come in rolling hot over the Rocky Mountains, and they come in dark and they come in with thunder and lightning and they're scary. What the buffalo do is they get together and they herd up, and they herd up with that courage and resiliency and tenacity, and they decide, you know what? We see that storm coming, and we see the struggle, we see the pain, and we're gonna take off running right forward. And I said that about the people in the EB organization, talking about the scientists, the donors, the researchers, the kids, the parents, all these people that have that struggle, and we're looking for the cure. And I said, all of us need to just herd up and see that storm coming in, and we're going to run right forward. And when we hit it, there's going to be pain, there's going to be struggle. But on the other side of that dark cloud is the cure. On the other side of that dark cloud is the sunshine and the light for all of us one day to have EB be knocked out and not even be on this earth.
Jesus Christ, Sean Casey, I want to run through a wall after
That's
that.
magnificent.
Run through a wall.
And when you said that to Aaron Judge, a lot of people were thinking that's not the first time in New York City that a judge has the mayor's got in the ear of a judge.
That was a shit joke.
Corrupt.
That was a
Corrupt.
shit joke.
That's actually pretty good, bro. That's actually pretty good.
Oh, that's generous from Sean Casey.
Hey, after he did that speech last night too, he fired the crowd up so much that this girl got up and bought that. They had an Eddie Vedder, like just a doodle sketch. And I think he did over his breakfast. It was just of some random wave. This girl got paid $30,000 US for it. I thought, wow, the power of the pop-up speech. So just think of that speech, Brown Dog, when you go into the races this week at Moonee Valley. When you're in a bit of trouble, just keep ploughing on. Keep running towards the cloud.
Yeah, I will. Responsibly, of course.
Hey, Sean Casey, before we let you go, the mayor, thank you so much for your time. Can you please guarantee us that Jeff, the Roastmaster General, will roast the shit out of Jonathan? Can you please guarantee that?
I will guarantee. I have to talk to Rossi, and I don't know why we didn't get Browny last night, and why he didn't get him. I was like, we got the big dog here, and no one got you. So we'll get Ross to get you tonight.
I'm the fresh Aussie meat for the concert because he's opening and he wants to roast someone before the concert, so I might be on the spit tonight.
Legend Sean the Mayor Casey. Thanks, man.
Hey, thanks for your time.
Thanks, mate.
You guys are the greatest. I got to come back on at some point. Even though all your listeners have no idea who I am, it's even better. It's even better.
You're in.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.
That's great.
Ads back in a second.
This is Brownie's Podcast.
Welcome back to Brownie's Podcast. So JB's in Seattle raising money for that awful skin disease, EB. We just heard about his night with Eddie Vedder, Sean the Mayor Casey, and Jeff, the Roastmaster General. Seriously, you guys don't know how famous that guy is. He's the greatest roaster of all time. But Dog...
He said to me on the way out, Brown Dog, sorry, before you go into a dog, Dino, he actually said to me on the way out that, are you sensitive? Are you thin-skinned? I said, no, why? And he goes, I need a target to roast tonight before the concert,
Mate.
Before the Eddie
Make sure you
Vedder
record
Pearl
it.
Jam concert.
Mate, he's coming for you. Don't you worry. He won't miss you.
He said, I'm going to get you on stage, he said, but I apologise in advance. So I could be the roasted.
We need vision and audio of that, JB, for next week.
No, if you don't get the audio of that, I won't speak to you for a week, you son of a bitch. All right? All right, now the other thing that's happening is, Dog, you haven't slept.
No, I haven't. I had a poker tournament last night in Bankstown, Sydney. So Tony Hasham organised a Shane Warne celebrity bounty event where the public could pay to go in, and there was a few of us that flew up there, and we haven't played poker for a little while. Jackson, Shane's son, was obviously there representing the family. And it's funny, Hash is a great mate of mine, but he's a funny guy because what he does is he just puts people on the billboard and says they're coming and doesn't necessarily speak to those people. So on the billboard last night, there was the Burgess twins.
Yeah, I saw that.
There was Johnny Stephenson, who's in Thailand and had no idea that the event was going on, right? And then Stevie Baker, myself.
Alex Favola?
Alex and Brendan Favola. Now, Fev said he had COVID. I'm not sure he did have COVID. But
He was at the races on the weekend.
Mate,
so
yeah,
it's
that's right, and he did bring you this morning.
turnaround.
Right?
Dog, these days you can pull out that COVID excuse and no one can say shit about it.
But Steve Baker, Jeff Fennick, Chris Walker, who played for the Broncos, Willie Mason, myself, Jacko, Joe Hasham. It was a really good night, and I know how to play poker, but I'm pretty shit, right? Like I've never really ever been close to being in the money or on the final table. And last night, I played the greatest poker that I've ever played from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. and I was a chip leader on the final table with 8 people left, and I thought, this is going to be the night that I win the poker, and while the money would be great, I more want to do it because it's the Shane Warne trophy, right? Great mate of mine. And it gets to like 2:05, and I've been grinding, mate, for 8 hours, and the tournament director comes up. He says, look, guys, just want to make an announcement. Our laws say that we can't play poker in this room past 2 o'clock. As you can see, it's 2:05. We're going to have to shut this tournament down. Don't worry, we'll bag up your chips and everyone can come back tomorrow at midday to finish the tournament and we'll decide a winner. And I go, hang on a second, I'm on a 6 a.m. flight out of here. This is a one-night event, not a 2-day event. And so I right now I'm getting blinded out of the final table, which I should have won. I'm ropeable, but I've never played better. It was a great event, and Jeff, I'll tell you what, Jeff.
You've never been a man for detail, have you? I'm sure that would have been somewhere.
It wasn't,
would have been on the detail of the invite.
No, they made it up.
Dog, how were you playing? Were you a mixture of
passive aggressive?
Right, okay.
Yeah, passive aggressive. But there was one person way more aggressive on the table than me. It was Jeff Fennick. He can't box anymore, right? But his aggression out on players on the poker table.
Really?
So I would raise, and he'd just look straight at me and go all in. And I'd just shit myself. and I'd fold and he'd show like a 2-7 or something like that. Because I don't want to come to blows with Jeff again because we famously had a big blow up at Warnie's joint one night.
Whoa, hang on. You skipped over that. What do you mean you had a big blow up with Jeff?
I buried the lead.
Dangerous man, too.
I got this, Broads. Let's stay. Yeah. All right. Exactly what happened.
He just had his fight with Azuma Nelson and he'd broken his hands in the fight.
Yeah.
So he was under duress. He rocked up to Warnie's one night to play a bit of poker, and he was drinking as well. He's only a little guy, and so he didn't take too many drinks. He was on the spirits.
Oh, jeez.
And one thing led to another. You know, there was no more buybacks. I had pocket kings under the gun. I go all in. Very first hand of no buybacks, I bust out, and he thought it was the funniest thing of all time. Started potting me, right? And one of the guys goes, "Hey Jeff, you know, like settle down. You know, the brown dog, you know, he's probably not going to be happy." Jeff fires up, right, and says, "I'm the IBA like 2-time world champion of this country. I know who I'd have my money on." In which I throw down about $500 on the table and go, "Righto then." And mate, I wasn't gonna like stand there and box him. I knew that he had 2 broken hands from his Azuma Nelson fight. I knew that he was drunk, and I was just gonna launch over the table and try and bite his nose off. I wasn't gonna stand there and box him. Right? It was gonna be a street fight. Anyway, we've kissed and made up since.
Bite his nose.
It's always been in the back of his head, I reckon. There's just always been that competitive nature.
Hold on, John. He has never been closer to Hannibal Lecter than just now.
I understand that, because I've had a little bit of a history with Eamon Sullivan, but I just went around and maybe wrap my hands around his neck, brown dog, but never did it cross my mind to bite him on the nose.
Well, mate, he's Australia's greatest boxer. I didn't know what to do. I wouldn't have known what to do. But it wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have just stood there and let him, shape up to me.
So with all this history,
it would have been street brawl. Tommy with a machine gun.
With all this history, you had that underlying.
We're friends. We know each other really well. But I mean, they had to manage us through the rest of the night. That night,
man,
and it was a bit awkward the next time. But in the back of our mind, on the felt, he knows and I know. It's still that rivalry. It's good stuff.
Oh, that's unbelievable. So, well, bad luck, man. It sounds like you're on fire and you're unfairly taken out of the game. That's bullshit.
It's good fun though.
Do you wear glasses on the poker table?
Good question.
Nah, I don't take it that seriously. I think people that do are a bit flogged up.
Yeah,
hoodies up, glasses on.
Yeah, they look like the
Do you like to stare people down, or do you like to look down? Like, what's your demeanour to cover up your tails?
I just play the cards and then just You know what I do, JB? Just pull out the phone like usual, mate, and just play on the phone, which is...
Dog, what about flirting as a tactic? Just wildly flirting with your opponent.
Well, I don't often flirt
put you off.
with males on,
Well,
on the poker table.
That's why I'm saying you don't usually, so this would confuse them utterly.
What about urinating under the table? Did you ever consider that, considering you're there at 6 hours?
No, we don't do that. We don't do that. We urinate responsibly.
We're going to take some ads, and then we got what? Oh, you want to do the trivia now, Brody?
Yes, we're going to take on my new challenge. His name's Lee. He thinks that he's going to cover me in the football mastermind challenge. Mate, no one can get near me. It's embarrassing,
All
really.
right. So we're going to call him up. A lot of trash on the WhatsApp with the degenerates regarding Brody and his trivia. A lot of accusations, such as, does Brody write the questions? Does Brody have an unfair advantage on the phone, Jonathan? All these questions are being posed.
Too many Port Adelaide questions. Considering he's a Port Adelaide fan.
Are there any Port Adelaide
Seems
questions
to
in
be a
there
little
today?
bit biased.
Any Port questions in there today?
No, it doesn't look like there's any port questions here.
All right, see?
What's this guy's name? This
His
poor
name's Lee.
bastard, all right? We're
Big
gonna call-
Lee.
You sort of just gave yourself up there that you write them.
I do not write
By
the
accident.
questions. I do not write the
Do
questions.
you write the questions?
I don't write the questions. I send him a website
Look at me,
and he
look
gets
at
to pick
my
it.
eyes.
I am
Do
looking.
you write the questions?
No, and he
Go
picks
back.
them from
You
the
can
website.
go back and listen to what he just said 30 seconds ago and work it out for yourself.
That's a false accusation, which I
calling Lee.
strenuously deny.
Do you know where Lee's from?
Oh, the WhatsApp group.
All right, mate. Yeah, excellent job. Here we go.
I've already got so much time in my day. I'm not getting his life story, am I?
Hello.
Lee, you son of a bitch. Welcome to Brownie's podcast. How are you, man? Are you all good? You out of debt?
Yeah. To be honest, I'm a bit knackered. I've been working my guts out trying to recoup my losses from following Brown.
Yeah, well done. Well played.
Another victim.
Yeah, well
Another
played. Another
financial
victim. Yeah.
To the pyramid scheme that is Campbell Brown.
I try my best. I tip
You do.
West Wind
Well, I
blows
think
that got beaten a lip, you know.
Took the old Tom Papley approach, and the sphincter was quivering when they jumped, and West Wind Blows didn't jump real well, and yeah, that's the end of it.
All right, well, you're here to take on Brody in trivia. Jonathan Brown, anything you want to say to Lee before we get into the game?
How's your name spelled? Is L-E-E or L-E-I-G-H?
Leigh.
Yeah, that's the correct spelling, I reckon, for
that's
a
the poor
Lee.
man's way.
So
The poor
let's get
man's-
started.
I
That's a
think
poor
I
man's
see
way.
Lee as the surname Lee, L-E-E, as like Bruce Lee.
Yeah, it's a surname.
The great.
I have 6 questions. Are you ready? Your buzzer is Lee. Try it out.
Lee.
And your buzzer is Brody.
Brody!
All right.
Hey, Lee, let me tell you before we get started, that's a lackluster buzzer, my man. Do you want to try that again? What's your buzzer sound like?
Lee.
Yep.
Yeah,
Beyond.
Question number 1. Who merged to make the Brisbane Lions?
Brody.
that'd be the Brisbane Bears in Fitzroy.
Correct. 1-0.
There is a delay.
Now-
There is a delay here.
There is,
Lee-
isn't there?
Oh,
But Lee-
they complained of the delay, mate.
You watch. You show some respect, Lee. I was almost going to call that.
Yeah,
to
it
Lee.
was pretty close.
You were very fast, Lee. Well done. Here we go.
Who won the 2022 Norm Smith medal?
Brody.
Lee.
Brody got you there, Lee.
Isaac Smith.
Yep, that's true. It's 2-0.
damn it.
It's 2-0.
Should have been Dangerfield.
God damn it.
Oh, were you doing voting that day, JB?
I was.
Really? Did you give him the 3?
I gave Dangerfield the 3. I was the only one to give him the 3.
Wow, there
Brownie,
you
were
go.
you drinking that day and not paying attention?
I was the only one. I was the only one that wasn't drinking. I tell you what, they must have been drinking this year with Joe Danaher not to get a vote.
Yeah, mate, he was huge.
Like, don't you reckon? They
Huge.
must have been on the piss.
Yeah.
Back to the quiz.
Okay. How long is a halftime break?
Lee.
Come on, Lee.
No idea.
Have I
Yeah, you, Lee.
got it?
Yep.
Answer the question.
I'm going to say 20 minutes.
Yep, you're spot on, mate. It is 20
done.
minutes.
Hey, John, that rigged of a Google, but I don't care. Lee's got a point. Lee's got a point
That's
on
not
the
even a
board.
good footy
There was a
question.
bit of procrastinating
Well,
there.
you write them, bro.
No,
so
no, do I?
Who is the current captain of Fremantle?
Lee.
Oh,
Lee?
Me.
Yeah,
Yes.
Lee, you!
When we say lead, that means you.
Jesus!
Alex Pearce.
that is correct. Pierce off.
Hey, Lee, I know I'm in
JB's
Seattle and you're in wherever you are, mate. We're a long way apart. But if you continue to delay and pause, I'll and hunt you down and bite you on the nose. Campbell Brown style.
We have a 2-all draw at the moment with 2 questions left, okay? Name 4 dual Brownlow medalists.
Brody.
Lee.
Oh, Brody got it first. Brody.
Ablett Jr.
Yes.
Chris Judd.
Yes.
Lockie Neal.
Yes.
And Robert Harvey.
Yes. Well done,
God,
Brody.
that was good,
This is the
Bros.
last question, and if it's a draw, I might have to come up with another question.
Come on with something.
Here we go.
Who played in the 2011 Grand Final?
Brody.
Lee.
Ooh, Collingwood and who won the flag that year?
Come on.
Who won the flag?
Need an answer.
Cats?
Yes, correct.
Oh,
Brody wins
God.
4.
Yes.
Brody wins 4 to 2.
I'm undefeated, baby. I'm
Sorry,
undefeated.
Lee.
Nah, you're right. That was a good effort, I reckon.
Lee, you're a really nice man, and I reckon the phone screwed you. From now on, we are not doing this over the phone.
No,
You
it's got to be in
understand?
studio.
We're not doing it over the phone.
You realise these people have jobs, right? So they're like, oh, I ask a couple of them, they're like, no, I've got to be at work.
Hey,
I'm
Lee,
like,
how
yeah,
long have you
probably
been a
fair enough.
Brownies podcast listener?
I reckon I've been probably about a bit over 12 months now.
Beautiful. Do you love it?
Yeah, love it.
Got any
I come on the
feedback,
bus.
Lee?
I was on the bus, and when Brown Dog had that day where he just didn't put in, I actually think there's a bit behind the goals. I ended up having a pear cider with him because I didn't want to buy him a beer. I knew he wasn't well, and I was on my ass for 3 days after. He gave me the flu, the bastard.
Oh, no. Mate, how sick was
Yes.
I? I was legitimately crook.
Hey, Lee, good on you, brother. Thanks for listening.
Thanks,
We'll
Lee.
talk to you soon. Well, okay, if you can't get anyone in, then the next time you have to do yours on the phone too, out of the
Oh,
studio.
yeah, that's a fair. That's
That
a
makes
fair
sense?
challenge.
Yeah,
And
that's
the
fair,
other
even
thing
up.
as well is stop writing the questions.
Oh, they would,
That's the most important one.
there'll be a right. If I were to write the question, there would be a
It would be right, and rightfully so.
Ads, back in a second.
This is Brownies Podcast.
Welcome back to Brownies Podcast. So John is in Seattle at a very important charity event, right? But we asked him to show everyone that'll watch it his mark of the year. Now, bear in mind, doggies.
It's a little bit embarrassing. It's just the actual introduction of it, Dino.
Yeah, because when we were in LA last time, JB, you had me and Mark Hinkley doing it for you, which didn't look as obvious. But now if you're doing it
and
yourself...
that's the origin. I'm glad you said that, Browno, because it's the origins of how it sort of opened a lot of doors for us in LA, but it was you guys doing it, not me.
Correct.
It's a little
So when I
self-indulgent
thought
when
of
you do
it,
it
yeah,
yourself.
this is great. But then all of a sudden I realised, hang on a minute, I'm walking up to some random showing him my mark of the year.
They're
So
going,
the
look
sport
at this
they don't know
arrogant
about.
bloke.
So, John, I'm Jeff Ross. How do you do it? So, how exactly do you say it?
Well, I was there with a mate, Rick, who organises. He's amazing. Organises all the donors to raise the money for EB, and so he was there, and he kindly went up to Jeff and said, "Hey, Jeff, this guy's a big deal in Australia. Like, do you want to have a look at his mark?" And he goes, "He's what?" And he goes, "Let's have a look at him in action. He's like he's like the Tom Brady of AFL." I said, "Stop it!" But whatever it takes to get his attention. So anyway, so there's Jeff Ross sitting there, and then obviously Sean Casey, the mayor, and then Eddie Vedder.
All right,
sitting
so-
there watching him. Anyway,
The Eddie Vedder watching Brownies Mark of the Year is unbelievable. We're going to put it all over our
Pearl
TikTok
Jams, Eddie Vedder.
Yeah.
and Instagram. But there's another mark we want to show you, man, that happened in the AFLW by Courtney Hodder, who's a Brizzy player. And we've sent it to you. Can you watch it?
It was Jay Brown-esque, wasn't it?
Oh, man.
Well, she must feel good about this because she's not the one showing me, Dino. You guys are introducing. So her modesty is intact.
I would love to get some vision one day of Courtney Hodder going up to JB and showing him the vision of her mark.
All right, so have a
Okay.
look at it. Have a look at it.
Right.
Open it up.
This was last weekend, I'm told.
You'll be proud.
Gold Coast Suns. Oh!
Mate,
Jeez.
reminiscent.
Is she alive?
She got up and
my God.
kicked a goal and
Brother.
That is the second greatest mark of a Brisbane Lion of all time.
Mate, how good.
it's a
Mate,
great grab.
that is better than mine. Look at the landing.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
She didn't
How
travel
tough
as
is
far
she?
with the flight, but still, like, absolutely fearless. And doesn't have your height, JB. She's only small, Courtney.
And Just like Johnny Barker, my opponent on the day, Courtney Hodder's opponent made a business decision.
If your mark was to shag Nick Rewald's mark of the year,
Yes.
this would be the baby and the offspring of that mark.
That's so true. It's a mixture of yours and Rui's, John.
Yeah.
Nice observation, absolutely. Hey, Courtney, I take my hat off to you. I can't wait to meet you and for you to show me your mark of the year in person. Because that's got to be mark of the year, doesn't it?
Yeah, it will be.
Just when you said
Has to
that,
be.
Brody,
Like, she's getting my vote.
We're going to Waterworld today.
we've got one of the great water
Hey,
worlds.
I've got a Water World. I've got a
yes.
Water World.
Yes,
Went
please.
to the summit yesterday. There's about 100 people, really interesting talkers. So the main keynote speaker was a guy called Eric Hagen. Now, Eric Hagen was the former Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Now, that department is the biggest department in America at the federal government level, more than the Defence Department. His budget was $1.5 trillion he was in charge of. So he worked for the Bush administration and he worked for Trump. So he was the most powerful man when it came to the healthcare system.
You just said Trump and Campbell got a bus fat. Continue, please.
He said, so he was the man that signed the first ever contract for the first vaccine, the mRNA vaccine, which was actually 20 years in the making from September 11. But he said his days were filled with all the conspiracy theorists, and a lot of his days would be there just trying to explain to various groups around the world, and he would try and do it respectfully because he didn't want to criticise them and get them offside, trying to convince them that we have not put a chip in the vaccine so we can follow you around everywhere.
Crazy.
And then
Campbell,
the other biggest one
do you
was,
believe that,
he
Campbell?
thought, do you believe that?
Of course, I don't believe there was a chip in it. I just believe that it was wrong.
All right, okay.
He said the other biggest one was that people absolutely believed that they were going to grow tails.
Really?
What?
Grow tails.
what was this guy's name?
So Eric Hagen, he signed a $10 billion check for the first vaccine, and he remembers signing it. He's a former attorney, and he remembers signing things. If this goes to shit and it doesn't work, I'm going to be in prison in 12 months' time.
I reckon he had a brother that didn't go down the family path of vaccines, that met up with his business partner, Alfred Darts, and they created ice cream, Hagen Darts.
We've reached a new low.
You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. You actually should.
Hey, the delay's getting bigger between us and America, so let's hit us.
Okay, so this is a water world that's coming out of a stag and bachelorette party. They went to Amsterdam, and you know how we here in Australia, and most people sort of, they separate the weekends, so the bachelor goes on one weekend, the bachelorette goes on the other. They decided it'd be a really good idea because both groups, families and friends, they all got along really, really well. So why not celebrate your upcoming nuptials together?
Oh,
Yeah,
and
that's progressive.
this is what happened.
Story because I'm literally telling everyone it's so horrific. So my friend Amelia, who I was with yesterday, she's got a mate called Ellie who's in a house share in London, and Ellie shares with like a bunch of girls. And one of the girls was telling her she's just been on a hen do to Amsterdam, where the stag and the hen went at the same time. I think they're all just like a mixed social group who kind of like knew each other, but then the stag went one day and the hen one way and the hens went the other. And one of the girls on the hen do got super drunk and went into one of these booths with like a glory hole, and so a guy on the other side stuck his dick through, so the girl was just drunk and started sucking him off. But it was one of these ones apparently where like if like she pushes a button and the guy pushes a button on the other side, they can kind of see who's on the other side. Like it makes it like transparent, like a window, so they can see. And so, being drunk, she thought it would be hilarious to push his button just to see who she'd been sucking off. And so she pushes the button and looks up, and it's her dad. Apparently, like the hen and the stag do all went home early because it was like so traumatic. And the girl's fallen out with all her family. The mum's obviously found out and is like not speaking to the dad. Like it's broken up the whole family because this girl sucked off her dad.
It's the headline that gets me. That is unbelievable. So
Well-
poor old Ellie.
When you play with glory holes, this stuff can happen.
Someone's going to get burnt. And that, my
Occupational health and
friends, I
safety
heard
hazard.
that, And I thought it's probably not appropriate for Brownie's podcast, but hey, here it is because we do what we want, you know. What a world.
Glad that was over other side of the world. Nothing happens like that in Seattle. Only good things happen here. So thanks for the podcast. EB, if you want to reach out, ebresearch.org to help the effort to try and raise a cure for EB by 2030. Thanks, guys, for allowing me to do this.
This podcast is all glory, no holes.
What a way to finish. John, make sure you get Jeff Ross roasting you. I'm serious, man, all right?
Okay.